Let's start with the injury update. Great to see Matt out here. What's Bet's status?
Yeah, right now he's day to day, but you're right. It's good to see him out here, doing some stuff. We'll monitor him as he goes. Possibly increase, or decrease as needed. But yeah, it's good to see him out here for sure.
I think if anyone's going to be chomping at the bit to play, it'll be him, seeing how he's going back to Montreal.
Well, yeah, obviously, it's not the first time him going back, but I think there's a lot of people chomping at the bit, to get out there and play again. I thought there was good energy today. I think the guys are ready to, right some wrongs.
It was nice to see Nathan took all the first reps. Can we pencil him in to start on Saturday? Is it too soon, or what we need to see this week?
Need to see, steady progress. We're optimistic, so I'll say that. Just continue to, monitor, how he's feeling. But, I think we're optimistic right now.
Is Chase Bryce going to be an option for you at backup? Jeremiah got dinged up a little bit. Where's Chase fit in the picture?
Yeah, I thought Chase did some good things, in the game. It's always a tough situation, to come in at that time. But I thought he handled it with poise. He moved the ball, stood in the pocket and made some throws. So yeah, he's came along since training camp, right? And he's in his process of understanding our offense and continuing to learn. Has been valuable for him, right? So yeah, we'll see how Jeremiah progresses, but Chase doing a good job.
Have you needed to see more from Chase to get more confidence in you so that you could put him in if need be?
Well, I think just with limited time around him, and not spending a ton of time around him, new offense, those kind of things, but he's got an ability, he's been able to grow, I think, from training camp, and understand, what we need from him. And, I've seen growth for sure.
Your football team's 1-3, Buck, but I think the record could be better if the execution was there. And I think we've talked about execution the last couple of weeks. Is that still something you're harping on these guys? Execute.
Yeah, it's about us. It's about us and what we do. And, the disappointing thing is, we made, mistakes that against SAS that we made against Winnipeg the week before. So that's the message. The reality is, lessons throughout the course of the season have to be learned. But we also have to have a sense of urgency about it that needs to get fixed now, and we can't get to where we want to go if we're not taking care of our business. And that's the message. And, we have to focus on us and make sure we clean up a lot of things.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I know we're a month into the season, but at the same time, you don't want to be middle of the pack or fading, and that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. You every game is important in this league, and you're going to face adversity at times. We have to be able to respond from adversity, and adversity early in the season. If you choose to, learn from it and, fight through it and understand how you have to adapt and change, it can be a good thing. And, continuing the message of, we can't continue to, do what we're doing. There's got to be a sense of urgency. Never panic, but urgency.
Positive, though, you haven't allowed a sack yet by your offensive line. You're starting to pressure defensively in terms of getting sacks, and you're also running the football. Are you seeing positives there?
Yeah, there's always positives. I mean, you build on those things, and it's important that you, continue to highlight those things and, show those things. Yeah, there's always positives, but, at this level, winning is tough, and, you got to fix the things that ail you, right? And make sure that you focus on those type of things, while you're building on some positives. But yeah, it's not overlooked that there is some building going on and there are some positives.
You mentioned you brought the sense of urgency. Have you instilled that on these guys, or do they know that?
Well, you try to, right? And I think, I think they understand. But the way that we practice and the mood, the meetings, how the guys are, it does give me optimism that they understand the sense of urgency that needs to be handled right now.
How much further is Nathan than he was 2 weeks ago, than he was a month ago, or a week ago?
You know, I don't know. I mean, he did more today than he's done. So, you know, like I said, that's a positive. You know, we'll continue to look at it, but you know, I was excited to see him out there today for sure.